I was meant to be an architect because sites talk to me at the end of the day. When I enter a project, any project as it may be, there is a certain sense of visualization that has begun to take place. It's not as vivid in the beginning, it's blurry, but I think the site, the brief, the client has already started engaging with me. So every project for us begins with the siting of the project on its location. And the site offered to us here was rectangular in shape. But what was also very exciting in this project was that there was a location of a very large mango tree. And that began our journey into the design, where we said that we wanted to kind of create an avenue path that bypassed this mango tree and to get us to the arrival plaza. From there onwards, it was a simple location where we said that the building would be sited right at the dead center and leaving what we would call as the back lawn for the family. Once we had kind of determined this block where its location was, the program then began to get developed. And what we landed up doing is we started slicing the program into three, what I would like to call as Kit Kat bars. We had the first bar that represented all the public spaces. So typically you had the living room and the veranda space that kind of happened out here. And this was important to us because this kind of unfolded itself onto the lawn. The central bar became the water bar for us. And this is where we landed up putting all the activities related to the water. So this was what we called as the water bar. So the third bar, which is primarily towards the south-southwest, became the private spaces bar. So all the bedrooms kind of occupied itself within this bar. The juxtaposition of the spaces allowed us to kind of open up the plan a lot more. So you landed up having spaces which were then fragmented and connected with flora and fauna happening around it. So you had the greens that kind of began to infill the project, and you had the water bar, which I mentioned to you. So that is where you entered and it became our entry lily pond. And also you had the swimming pool, which became the nucleus of the project. On either side, to maintain permeability and porosity, the greens kind of filtered right through and through, and they were a part of engaging the inhabitants with it. I think second homes is about creating what we like to call is nature driven architecture. And for that to happen, I think the thresholds between the built form and the unbuilt need to start reacting to each other. And I think that's where the project began to see its manifestation. The clients wanted us to create an abode where you could engage in a slow life away from the hustle and bustle of Mumbai. They wanted a place where you can create memories for themselves for a lifetime. This was, I think, the emotional tug on the project. But the more tangible brief that was provided to us was that they wanted a space which was well ventilated, There was largeness in scale, and most importantly, how did we engage with nature? These were the three main criteria for the client. So like we had earlier discussed, the project is sited on a rectangular site. A little bit of the north side lawn has been truncated in this model because it just expands double of the project. But to give you a sense, this large expression of the mango tree happens to be right here. But that's the entrance, and we kind of you enter in here and you kind of bypass the mango tree and you come to an arrival plaza. So these are the three Cadbury bars that we kind of designed the project as. And as you can see, the horizontal bar towards the north side takes care of all the public spaces. So you had the living room, which engaged with the veranda space, and you also had the games room. The veranda space down below is porous, so it kind of responds to the lawns on the north side, as well as the central courtyard, which has the swimming pool. This was the water bar, as we discussed. So you had the changing block that happened at one end, and you also had the entrance with the lily pond happening at the other end, along with the kitchen volume. The black minaret that you see, and it's actually a true representation of the materials that we have used in this project. The black represents actually the river washed kadappa that we engaged with. So the entire minaret was kind of a sense of verticality in a stone mass set against the horizontal massing of the project. So while the two bars that you see are ground storied, you see the third bar, which is the private spaces and the bedrooms, is a G+1 structure. And now you can also get to kind of see in this model how nature percolates between the buildings, and it kind of holds it together and stitches it together. So if you were to kind of place these blocks back in its place, it's one cube which then got kind of sliced as three, which we were initially kind of engaging with. All projects at the studio are about creating a certain sense of engagement with the haptics in design, and haptics in design is all about touch, feel, engaging your six senses. So the yellow color primarily is a textured paint that we use for the entire project. It offsets beautifully well in the tropical environment, set against the greens, set against the blue skies. And we just use one material, which is the river wash black kadappa. We used it in different kind of sizes and patterns right across the project. So there was a certain sense of restraint and control on the project while we went about doing this.